The Galactic Council chamber was a cathedral of arrogance. Massive banners of alien empires draped from vaulted ceilings, their shimmering glyphs boasting centuries of conquest. Floating platforms held delegates in shimmering robes or plated armor, each species more ostentatious than the last. At the center, the Dominion banner hung heavy and crimson, like a bloodstain on history. Supreme Overlord Zirak rose from his throne podium, the chamber amplifying his deep, serrated voice. "Humans," he snarled. "Squatters on a forgotten rock, daring to claim equal standing in this council. You pollute the stars with your rusting hulls. Do you think yourselves peers of the Koradi Dominion?" Laughter rippled across the chamber, an ugly chorus of scaled throats, chittering mandibles, and echoing vocal sacs. The council adored theater, and Zirak was their master performer. He spread his clawed hands, basking in the spectacle. "We will not waste decades debating. The Dominion fleet moves even now. Your colonies will burn. Your young will serve as slaves, your worlds mined until hollow. Earth will kneel before true power." The session ended with a ceremonial gong. The laughter lingered long after. Only one delegate did not speak. Admiral Kiera Holt, standing in the shadowed human enclave, kept her jaw locked. Her eyes, sharp and gray, tracked Zirak until he vanished behind his guards. She said nothing, but her silence was louder than any rebuttal. Back on Earth, the war room buried beneath the Andes vibrated faintly with reactor hum. Holographic displays cast shifting blue light across grim faces. Maps of human space stretched across the table, thin lines of colonies, fragile trade routes, outposts like lanterns against the void. Red markers bloomed as reports came in: lost border stations, overrun listening posts, vanished convoys. Colonel Rahim broke the silence. "First-line colonies are falling. The Dominion's advance is faster than we projected. 3 systems gone in a week." His voice was steady, but his knuckles whitened around his data pad. "They don't just want surrender," another officer said bitterly. "They want to erase us. Make an example." Holt stood at the head of the table. She wore the dark uniform of Fleet Command, sleeves rolled tight, scars tracing faint lines on her hands from wars long past. Her voice was quiet, yet every officer leaned in as if pulled. "They believe we are prey. That belief is their weakness." She gestured to the red tide spreading across the map. "Let them come. The Dominion expects us to meet them in open space. We will not. We will lead them where they cannot fight." The room stirred. Someone whispered, "The rift." Holt's expression never shifted. "The Helios rift is our ground. Storms blind their sensors. Ion fields twist their drives. They see it as chaos. We see it as cover." She tapped a code on the display. Another map unfolded, layers of hidden markers glowing faintly. A fleet appeared, previously unseen, its dreadnought silhouettes stretched across the rift like waiting phantoms. Gasps filled the room. "The Phantom Fleet," Rahim breathed. "It's real." Holt's lips curved, not in a smile, but in satisfaction. Years of secrecy had finally reached their moment. Built in silence, fueled by sacrifice, forged for this day. Every ship cloaked, every weapon sharpened. They think we crawl. They will learn we strike. One of the younger commanders hesitated. "Admiral, once we reveal them, there's no turning back. The galaxy will know what we've hidden." "They already know what they think of us," Holt replied coldly. "Mockery. Contempt. Chains. What comes next is their education." 2 days later, the Dominion fleet surged across the Perseid corridor. Thousands of alien warships moved like a tide of fire. From orbit above New Horizon, civilians watched helplessly as alien cruisers filled the sky. Resistance was brief. Defense satellites shattered in minutes. Cities trembled under plasma bombardment. Transmission drones captured the devastation and broadcasted across human space, a deliberate act of terror. On the flagship crawl tour, Overlord Zirak watched with relish. "See how they scatter," he told his generals, eyes glinting beneath his crown of bone. "No discipline. No resolve. They are dust already blown. His underlings roared approval, eager to bask in borrowed cruelty. But in the rift, silence reigned. The phantom fleet lay hidden among the roiling storms. Ships were dark, systems running low to avoid detection. Crews whispered as if sound itself might betray them. In the command chamber of the dreadnought Resolute Dawn, Holt studied the tactical grid. Reports of fallen colonies scrolled across the screens. Each loss was a knife she refused to flinch from. A lieutenant broke the silence. "Admiral, Dominion broadcasts claim Earth will fall within the month. They are building their myth," Holt said. "Let them. Myths fall harder than armies." She turned to her officers. "Prepare Operation Phantom Veil. When the enemy pushes deeper, we bleed their lifelines. Not yet. Patience is our weapon. Their arrogance will deliver them to us." On Earth, news feeds swarmed with panic. Families fled Coord, filling evacuation transports. In the Council's public chamber, alien delegates scoffed at human pleas for aid. "You asked for independence," one sneered. "Now you have it." But within the hidden war room, Holt's voice steadied the chaos. "Fear is natural. Submission is not. We are not asking for survival. We are preparing for victory." Her words rippled across every officer. They saw not just an admiral, but a figure standing against extinction. "Mark this," Holt said, lowering her hand onto the table. "The Dominion believes humanity bends. Tomorrow they will learn humanity breaks fleets." The chamber fell silent. No one doubted. That night, Holt stood alone on the observation deck of the Resolute Dawn. The rift stretched before her, violent storms painting rivers of violet light across the void, charged particles crashing in endless fury. Dangerous, untamed, deadly, yet beautiful. "Like us," she murmured. Her calm officer's voice cut through the quiet. "Admiral, the Dominion has entered the rift perimeter. Their lead ships will cross into the storms within hours." Holt straightened. Every line of her posture radiated calm authority. "Then we begin." She touched the calm across the hidden armada. Captains received the code they had waited for years to hear. "Operation Phantom Veil, engage." The Dominion armada cut across human space like a wildfire. Each passing day added another ruined colony, another desperate signal silenced mid-transmission. Alien propaganda filled the channels, showing captured humans forced to kneel while karate banners were raised above smoldering cities. The message was simple: resistance is useless. Submit or be erased. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Kiera Holt watched the streams in silence. Her officers shifted uneasily, but she refused to turn away. Every image, every scream, every fire was fuel. "They want us to despair," Holt said quietly. "Instead, we will let their arrogance grow." Colonel Rahim stood at her side, jaw tight. "How long do we wait? Families are dying while we sit cloaked." Holt's gaze did not waver from the display. "If we strike too soon, they adapt. If we wait, they overreach. The Dominion believes the rift is a void. We make it their graveyard." Far beyond, a karate supply convoy moved sluggishly through contested space. Massive carriers dragged fuel silos and ammunition barges, guarded by destroyers in rigid formation. Their captains lounged, complacent, laughing at intercepted human distress calls. Then the stars flickered. From nothing, lances of light carved across the convoy. The lead destroyer exploded before it could raise shields. Barges split open, spilling fuel into burning arcs. Confusion rippled through the fleet. "Contact! Unknown vectors!" shouted a karate officer. "Impossible!" his commander snapped. "No human fleet could bypass our sensors." But ship after ship vanished under precision fire. Alarms howled, hulls split, comms erupted in panicked cries. Some swore they saw shadows of vast shapes before them, hulking silhouettes slipping back into darkness. Then silence. Of 50 ships, 12 limped away, their hulls scarred and crews shattered. Survivors spoke of ghosts, weapons that struck from nowhere, fleets that did not exist. Dominion intelligence dismissed them as cowards' excuses. But whispers spread, Even among karate crews, the humans had demons in the storm. Aboard the Resolute Dawn, Holt leaned over the tactical table. Icons of destroyed convoys blinked out one by one. Her officers exhaled, tension breaking into murmured relief. Commander Ellis gave a grim smile. That's 3 supply lines in as many days. The Dominion's advance will starve. Rahim nodded. They'll feel the pinch within a week. No fuel, no food, no war. Holt's eyes were sharp. They'll feel something worse, doubt. That is the real wound. A young lieutenant looked up from her console, voice hesitant. Admiral, Dominion broadcasts accuse us of using sorcery. They're calling it phantom trickery. Holt allowed the faintest smile. Good. Let them choke on impossibility. On the crawl tour, Overlord Zirak raged. His talons gouged deep scars into the command dais as reports of vanished convoys filled the chamber. Generals bowed low, terrified of catching his eye. Explain, Zirak thundered. Explain how vermin crippled the Grand Armada. No one answered. One general finally stammered. My overlord, the storms of the rift distort sensors. Perhaps. Excuses, Zirak roared. His voice shook the chamber. You tell me humans wield shadows? That storms hide fleets? Then we burn the storm itself. He turned to the assembled captains, fangs bared. I want the rift drowned in fire. Half the armada, into the storm. Crush their ghosts until nothing remains. Hours later, the Dominion fleet plunged into the Helios rift. Thousands of warships ignited the storms with their drives, violet lightning crackling across their hulls. Ion waves slammed into shields, forcing constant recalibrations. Navigation systems buckled under the distortions. Keep formation! Alien commanders barked. But their words fought against chaos. Ships drifted, colliding, splitting formations apart. It was then the Phantom Fleet struck. Human dreadnoughts slid from cloak silence, their outlines shimmering briefly in the crackling light. Railguns fired in blinding arcs, torpedoes streaked like falling stars. Karate cruisers ruptured before they could even lock targets. Ghosts! Cried a panicked alien over open calms. They strike from nothing! On the Resolute Dawn, Holt gave calm, precise orders. Strike their rear guard. Vanish before counterfire. Leave survivors to spread fear. Her fleet obeyed with surgical precision. Ships emerged, delivered devastation, and slipped back into the storm before the enemy could respond. The rift itself seemed to conspire with them, storms masking exits, lightning veiling trails. In minutes, 1,000 Dominion ships became wreckage adrift in violet fire. Survivors scattered, broadcasting frantic calls for reinforcements. One alien captain, trembling in fury, opened a channel to Holt's ship. His mandibles clicked in rage, voice dripping venom. Human! You hide behind storms, behind tricks. Face us in open battle, if you have courage. Holt answered, her voice ice cold. You entered our ground thinking us prey. You are not fighting storms. You are fighting humanity. And this is the price of arrogance. The channel cut. The alien ship vanished in a flash of plasma fire. Across the rift, morale fractured. Some Dominion commanders insisted the humans had mastered impossible technologies. Others called it illusions. None could deny the losses. Entire wings had been erased without human casualties reported. Meanwhile, human broadcasts spread like wildfire. Short, sharp messages delivered to scattered colonies. The Phantom Fleet is real. Humanity fights. Hold on. For the first time since the war began, hope flickered across human space. Refugees paused their frantic flight. Colonists armed themselves. Soldiers swore vengeance with new fire in their hearts. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, Rahim leaned closer to Holt. We've bloodied them, Admiral. The galaxy is watching. We could press now. Holt shook her head. Not yet. Their overlord will come himself. His pride demands it. When he does, we end this war in one stroke. Her eyes returned to the rift. Storms raged beyond the viewport, painting her reflection in blue fire. Patience, she whispered. The storm has only begun. The rift seethed like a living storm. Currents of violet lightning stretched across endless black, wrapping Korati warships in a cage of fire. Wrecks drifted in silence, hulls torn apart, engines cracked open. Yet into this chaos, one ship advanced with unshaken arrogance, the Kraltor, crown jewel of the Dominion. Its hull was plated in obsidian armor, its engines casting fire brighter than suns. On its command dais, Overlord Zirak stood tall, cloaked in scarlet, claws resting on the hilts of ceremonial blades. His eyes burned with fury. "No more ghosts," he growled. "No more shadows. I will tear the heart from this phantom fleet myself." Behind him, his generals knelt. None dared speak. Aboard the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Holt received the news with a steady expression. Reports scrolled across the tactical grid, the Dominion's flagship entering the rift, a massive guard fleet in tow. Commander Ellis muttered, "He's coming for you personally." "Good," Holt replied. "Let him. Pride is his weakness." Colonel Rahim studied the grid, grim lines carved into his face. "His flagship alone could match half our fleet. If he breaks through—" "He won't," Holt interrupted. Her voice cut like a blade. "Today ends this war." The Phantom Fleet moved into formation, their cloaks shimmering faintly as stormlight rippled across their hulls. In silence, they prepared for the most dangerous engagement yet. Within the storm, human frigates darted first, baiting the Dominion Guard ships. Alien cruisers unleashed volleys of plasma fire, carving through the rift. Human frigates dodged between ion clouds, some struck, their hulls burning as they rammed straight into alien carriers. Explosions cascaded, ships sacrificing themselves to cripple larger foes. On the Resolute Dawn, Holt's commands came sharp and unflinching. "Detach Delta Wing. Draw them starboard. Bring Dreadnought Hammerfall to flank." Orders flew, executed with ruthless precision. Human ships darted in and out of the storm, decloaking only to strike. Dominion vessels, disoriented by the rift, fired wildly, their formations collapsing under pressure. Then the Kraltor entered the fray. Its cannons lit the rift in blinding arcs, tearing apart 3 human destroyers in a single volley. The shockwave rattled even Holt's ship. "Admiral," Ellis called, "if that thing focuses on us—" "It will," Holt replied, calm as ever. "And that's the point." The Dominion flagship turned, locking onto the Resolute Dawn. Warnings screamed across the bridge as enemy targeting systems painted them. "Brace!" Holt barked. The first blast struck. Shields flared white-hot, nearly buckling. Consoles sparked, crew thrown from their stations. Smoke filled the command deck. Holt stood unshaken in the chaos, gripping the railing. "Status," she demanded. "Shields down to 40%, Rahim reported, coughing. "One more direct hit and then we don't let them fire again." Holt's eyes locked onto the tactical display. She saw the opening, the rift currents surging, a window where storm lightning could blind the Dominion sensors. Timing had to be perfect. She turned to her crew. "We draw them in. All ships converge fire on the Kraltor. Pin it. Now." Across the rift, the Phantom Fleet roared to life. Railguns thundered, torpedoes streaked like meteors. The Dominion flagship shuddered under the barrage, its shields flaring crimson. Inside, Zirak bellowed in rage. "Forward! Break them!" His ship surged, hammering through the storm, cannons blazing. Another wave of fire slammed into the Resolute Dawn, tearing armor from its hull. Warning klaxons blared, lights dimmed, smoke thickened. Crew clung to stations, some bleeding, others dead where they fell. Ellis shouted, "We can't take another hit!" Holt's gaze hardened. "We won't have to." She issued the command. "Omega formation. All ships." The signal pulsed through the fleet. Human vessels shifted into a deadly crescent, surrounding the Kraltor. Frigates dove headlong, colliding with alien cruisers, detonating in blinding flashes. Carriers disgorged swarms of drones, each carrying warheads, weaving through the chaos. The Dominion flagship tried to break free, but the Phantom fleet closed tighter, dragging it deeper into the rift's fury. "Target their engines," Holt commanded. "Cripple their heart." Railguns thundered. Dreadnought cannons fired in unison. Explosions tore across the Kraltor's aft, flames venting into space. The flagship lurched, shields collapsing, armor cracking. On its bridge, Zirak refused to yield. Blood ran down his claws as he gripped the controls himself. "I am Dominion! You cannot defeat me!" His words were swallowed by the storm. On the resolute dawn, Holt delivered the final order. Her voice was steady, every syllable clear. "Fire all batteries! End it!" The fleet obeyed. Every gun, every torpedo, every rail slug converged. The Kraltor shook under the onslaught, its engines rupturing, reactors failing. A final, deafening explosion ripped it apart, fire consuming its hull. The shockwave blasted across the rift, scattering debris like burning stars. For a moment, silence followed. Then cheers erupted across the Phantom fleet. "Flagship destroyed!" Ellis cried, eyes wide with awe. "The Dominion command ship is gone!" Rahim exhaled, disbelief on his face. "It's over." But Holt's expression remained cold, steady. She knew Zirak had likely escaped. Dominion leaders always did. Still, the truth was undeniable. The Grand Armada was broken. The war was no longer theirs to win. Across the galaxy, news spread faster than light. The once ignored humans had shattered the Dominion's pride, destroyed its flagship, and scattered its fleet. Species that had mocked Earth now whispered of its defiance. Refugees lit candles, colonists raised banners, and soldiers swore by a new legend, the Phantom Fleet. On Earth, panic turned to celebration. Cities rang with bells, families embraced, tears flowed freely. Humanity had not only survived, it had proven itself a power no one could dismiss. On the resolute dawn, quiet returned. Fires were being put out, the wounded carried to med bays, the dead honored with silent salutes. Holt stood at the viewport, watching the rift storms calm, their violet light reflecting across her face. Rahim approached softly. "The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Holt's gaze stayed fixed on the wreckage drifting through the storm. "Good. Let them remember." He hesitated. "And the Overlord? What if he lived?" Her lips curved, almost a smile. "Then he carries our message with him. Humanity bows to no one." She turned away, her figure framed by the storm. The fleet around her stood scarred but unbroken, their banners shining defiantly in the void. The war had cost lives, blood, and fire. But in its ashes, humanity had forged a new truth, one the galaxy would never forget.